Hello and welcome to Creepin' It Real, the show where we watch the scary things so you don't have to. Today we watched What Lies Below, not to be confused with What Lies Beneath. Two different movies. This is a 2020 movie directed by Braden R. Doomler. He hasn't really done anything else, but he wrote and directed this flick, and we're here to talk about it. As always, I am Michelle. I'm joined by Lou.
Hello.
And Alex.
Hey.
So, of course, if you've seen us do Creepin' It Real, we're going to spoil absolutely everything about this movie for you. So don't worry, you can hear me talk about it instead of watching it. So, just to spoil how we feel about it, or at least how I feel about it. So this movie centers around a 16-year-old girl named Libby. She is returning home from camp to be with her mother, Michelle. And I hate that the mom's name is Michelle. Anytime it's my name in a movie, it just grinds my gears. But she goes to return to her mother, Michelle, at their lake house, where Michelle has a brand new boyfriend named John. And John is a specimen. He's an attractive looking dude, and Libby immediately has some very interesting teenage girl feelings about her mother's new boyfriend. So the movie really centers around this relationship between the three of them. Both Libby and her mother do not have the best relationship. And then having this other guy there, John, kind of throws a wrench into things, to say the least. The movie really follows Libby's growing suspicions around John. He is a weirdo, which is something they refer to 100 times in the movie. Oh, I'm so weird. Isn't that funny? Because they're both weird, because they're both into anthropology, like Libby and this guy, John. So John is here at the lake house because he is an aquatic geneticist. And he is pretty much here to save the wildlife of the local area, because all of the fresh water is starting to disappear off planet Earth. So all of the animals are going to have to live in salt water. So he's here to help the animals adapt to salt water. That's his reasoning for being here. So he's always doing weird experiments in the lake and such. So Libby is a very smart young girl. So she's very interested in the science. So he allows her to be part of some of the science. He shows her his lab in their lake house basement, where he has a little aquarium full of lampreys, which he describes as a beautiful parasite that attaches to the host in order to adapt to survive. And he really, really, really likes lampreys. They're beautiful animals to him. So he takes Libby out into the water to get some more testing of the lake. This is where we have, I'd say, one of the most uncomfortable experiences I've ever witnessed in a movie. Poor Libby gets her period on the boat. And that's, if you're a woman, it happens at inconvenient times. It's not a big deal. The thing that's really awkward is our boy John decides to wipe it up and then lick it. And rightfully so, Libby is alarmed by this behavior. From this point on, she is extremely suspicious of him. He tries to kind of be like, oh, I'm just awkward. It's okay. There's no excuse for that kind of weirdness. So she becomes very, very suspicious of John. The whole time her mom is quite absentee, even though she's home and around. Her mom starts to exhibit illness. She asks Libby to go to the town to buy her pregnancy test and some medicine because she is vomiting constantly. So Libby calls her friend Miley and is like, hey, can you come here? I'm freaking out. And then goes to town to get these things for her mom. While she's in the town, she sees this other gentleman who looks a lot like John with another lady. And she's very suspicious of this, but couldn't really follow any further because she accidentally stole a pregnancy test. And then the dude at the store is like, excuse me, ma'am, are you going to pay for that? So she returns home to her mom. Her friend shows up, and Libby tells her friend Miley everything that happened, including the disgusting period licking situation, to which Miley goes to talk to the mother to say, John's a creep, you need to get rid of him. And then we don't see Miley again. And the mom and John tell Libby, oh, Miley went home. She just went home, it's fine. And Libby's mildly suspicious, but doesn't really do much about it. So we soon find out that her mother is preggers suddenly, and she's very unwell. And John's being mad sus. So Libby sees John wading into the lake at night with this very strange orange light emanating from the lake. She goes outside to follow him and kind of understand what's going on. And then he shows up behind her, perfectly dry, being like, I just sleepwalk. I don't know what you saw. So we see just more and more suspicions and just like really odd behavior from John, which ultimately kind of culminates with Libby breaking into his basement lab to figure out what's going on. There she finds her mother in a fish tank from the waist down. She's just like tied into this fish tank, and she's about to give birth to a lamprey baby monster thing. Yeah, that happens. John comes down and Libby hides to like, so John doesn't see her. He takes his little fetus lamprey and takes it outside and barfs a blue light into its mouth. Question mark? I'm not sure. From there, Libby does call the police because she finds that there was a cell phone jammer in the basement. So she smashes that, calls the police. The police are on their way, but in that moment, John breaks back into the basement and captures Libby. We do see at this point what happened to her friend Miley, and Miley's being just nommed on by a bunch of lampreys in a tank. So she's dead, unfortunately. And then the movie truly ends with many, many Johns showing up in the basement. And then the John we're familiar with barfs a blue light into Libby's mouth and then puts her in a tank. And then we see as it kind of pulls out from her drowning, maybe not, in this tank, we see there's many women in the tanks beside her. That's the movie. Oh, and also John is like a monstery thing. We do see like his arm look like a monster thing and his eyes look monstery and his feet are kind of weird, but we never see like a full monster transformation. So that was the movie in the quickest synopsis physically possible. So what did you guys think about this gem of a flick?
Alex, you want to go first on this?
Wow. So it comes down to me. How many different ways are there to say it sucked? I mean, it was predictable from the beginning. Like there was nothing about the movie that felt original or even interesting. Really, it felt like a women's television network movie, which I've seen plenty of. But like without like those movies. Don't ask why, but like I've seen enough of them to like near the end. There's usually a twist. It's like, oh, okay, oh, that happened. Where it's like it's unpredictable, let's say. But like this movie, everything was predictable. Everything played out literally the way I thought it was. What was in the water, I don't even know if they clearly showed it, but like I was like, yeah, it's got to be a bunch of this guy's embryos, just him in the water. And like they didn't show it, but like I'm sure that's what it was. And
there's one shot where she drives her car into the water like an idiot, and you see the outline of like what I actually think is a spaceship. So I think the dude's an alien.
Oh, okay.
But it's not clear at all.
That was another. It's so confusing with all the runes and sigils. It's like, is this magic? Are these aliens? Is this just the guy experimenting on things? Like what is happening here? Like it didn't make sense. It was familiar and like whatever. There wasn't even a creature at the end. I'm like, okay, maybe the climax will save it. But like he'll turn into this really cool looking monster. Nothing. He just had like some scratches because of like salt. Nah, my God, Lou, please.
This movie was just garbage. Unimaginative. The script was super boring, super predictable. The only thing I really wanted was maybe for her to escape all that, and then she gets trapped with all the other ladies in whatever tanks. Yeah, Alex said everything was predictable from the moment you kind of see the half naked dude. You already know something's up, and it's like everything was just set up for the next scene, which you could kind of follow like a basic paint by numbers kind of thing. You knew where everything was going, what was going to happen. The ending was, I guess, unpredictable for me because I wanted her to, like, at least kill him or something. You couldn't see the full monster. Yeah.
So the reason I originally watched this movie before I made these two watch it, 'cause love them for watching this, even though I warned that it was atrocious. It came on to Netflix. I was like, a coming soon on Netflix, and I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I watched it and I was like, how is this even a thing? Like, how did this movie happen? It reminds me of, this is gonna be a weird thing. You know when like people jokingly get robots to write scripts based on like an amalgamation of other things? That's what it felt like. It felt like a robot took every like woman romance movie and every monster movie and just like mushed it. And that's what happened. Because like some scenes made no sense. Like I kind like, I'm not excusing the nasty period thing, but I kind of get it because there was like this whole thing about fertility. He's trying to make like his little alien baby things cool. But then there's like the whole trippy side situation of the mom and the daughter's relationship and how grandpa hated the mom and like that whole like weird family drama that just like happened in one
story.
scene. Yeah, the one scene. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? I'm like, is he a lamprey? I honestly thought he was gonna turn into a big old lamprey thing. And I was like, I guess like I could, it's not gonna save the movie for me, but I guess it makes more sense that he turns into that.
At least make him turn into a lamprey monster or something.
Yeah, something. So at least it kind of like mildly explains it, but I don't get it. And then like the blue light barf into the baby thing's mouth and her mouth, I'm not sure what that means. Like that didn't really do sense. I don't know what it did. Like, did she turn into a thing? Because the only thing that like left me questioning, and we're not the only ones questioning it, because literally the director had to defend his ending many times in interviews. But at the very end, when it's zooming out from her face and it's slowly filling with water, she gets this look that's kind of like this weird smirk. And I'm like, so is she turning into a thing? And that's, I don't know. I don't get it.
I totally missed that. And shame on that director for defending that. That's just.
Well, he wrote and directed it. So like, bro, dude, man, like that's it for you.
It's clear. It's like literally clear. Like I didn't even check the credits, but like it was clear that it was a man writing a movie about women and like just not like just being horrible, like women's anatomy, just women emotions in general.
It was horrible about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I didn't even think of it that way, and now that you've said that, like I already hated this movie, but like that is actually so much worse now.
Yeah,
like, that's really bad, really bad. Yeah,
this is my pro women movie. This is for all the women out there. Let me just
for all them ladies.
Yeah.
I know how a period works. What? No, that's not a thing like that, bro.
Also, at what point were any of you led to believe that they were actually kind of smart in what they do? Because she was supposed to be kind of an archaeology student, I think.
Yeah, she had just come from archaeology camp, and she was saying how she got accepted to some prestigious university because she's so smart.
Did I think that she was able to use any of her smart, or was she able to show any of her smarts throughout the whole thing? Like,
the only smart thing she did was throw salt on him. But even that was such a stretch because he was like, yeah, she just grabbed a thing and threw it on him and was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then just like never followed up with that. Like and the mom's the worst. She's crazy. So I'm assuming she was under some type of hypnosis. Otherwise, she's literally just like the worst mother in the entire movie world. Just like your daughter tells you that your boyfriend licked her, you know, and you're just like, you're the problem.
Yeah.
You child are the problem. Don't period in front of my boyfriend because he's gonna lick it. So yeah, okay. So we know we hate
terrible writing.
Let's try our best. This was called a sci-fi horror thriller. What do you think qualified it as a horror? Maybe.
No, it wasn't even horror. Like I would have been, you know, satisfied with like cheesy jump scares, but like it was devoid of that, and like there was nothing scary about the guy. It was just really weird and creepy, and like for some reason Libby was attracted like to him. It was like literally written by a man who watched a lot of pornography and like is into that stuff
and has a thing for 16-year-old girls.
exactly, yeah, and yeah, and vice versa. So it was really, yeah, nothing scary. It was scary how it ended up on Netflix. That's what was scary. But like this dude got a lot of money for making that film, and yeah.
Like, who in Netflix okayed that? Like,
Right?
Well,
seems like a
I don't
great
think it's a
script. Do
Netflix
it.
movie specifically.
No, no, like
but it ended up
who
on
they
Netflix.
bought it. They
Oh,
bought it
okay,
from
okay.
Yeah. But even so, it
Oof.
got made. I
Um,
mean, I think there was one jump scare where he smashed through the basement window with his little alien hand, and that was it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
at that point, it was so expected that it didn't really
Yeah.
do anything. That was it. Like there was maybe the one jump scare, and like I don't even want to call it body horror because that's like really makes it sound so much better than it truly is. But he did have like that little scaliness under his skin in that one sex scene, and then he had like that weird tongue. But both of those look terrible.
It looked like a bunch of pimples. Like, oh, he's developing acne or all.
Yeah, is he
it
okay?
looked like bad acne.
Yeah.
Stay out of that nasty water, dude. It's doing something to your skin.
I mean, like the only thing horror, I don't consider it horror. I mean, like sci-fi maybe because of all like the blinding lights and stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Like the blue thing that's the only sci-fi thing I could think of. And maybe trying to do the birth of the lamprey babies, or I don't know. It was annoying.
So the hardest question, what do you think the best scene was? And you can't just say the end because it was over. That's cheating.
Okay, actually, I'll chime in because I think just the shot for me, because it was just the way it was shot. I think it was when she was, playing with herself, kind of.
Oh yeah.
She runs into the room, and then shirtless homie kind of follows her, and then it was just like a blurry, his body was just blurry, and then
Like the silhouette in the doorway.
the silhouette, silhouette, and it was just kind of staring there. And at that point in the movie, I thought, okay, maybe there's something cool is gonna happen here, but no, that was it. But that was, to me, the scariest. Made me think for 3 seconds, and then it was like, all right, it sucks again. But it was a nice shot. I'll give it that.
Oh man, I'm honestly trying to think of the best thing. I love, like, I'm really trying hard, without making a joke of it. No, I like the other thing I go back to is like when Libby's friend Madeline was there, and just how funny the dialogue was, just the script. Like, Mama Dukes is preggers. Like, who wrote this? Who, like, that's like trying really hard to capture a teenage voice. Okay, so but that's obviously not the best part. I don't know what the best part is, because like the whole movie I'm expecting this guy to like rip someone's head off or like do something nasty or just crazy. No, guys, I don't know. The dude's abs as a straight guy, it's like, oh, all right.
It wasn't even that great.
Honestly, it wasn't that great.
No,
the two women like being like, ooh, look
Yeah.
at him. I was like, I mean, I've seen better in like every movie ever, but okay.
Like, this guy just comes out in a Speedo in a lake.
Yeah,
What are you
right.
doing?
Oh my God.
Okay. This is, my answer is really weird. The best scene, I think, is the breakfast scene, because it's just, I think it captures just how aggressively uncomfortable this movie is in like one scene. Because there's the part at breakfast where John hugs the mom and he puts his hand on Libby's shoulder, and it's just so unbearably awkward.
Ugh.
And this is like before we do the period thing, before it gets real freaky. But at that point, I was like, okay, this is really creepy potential. And then it goes so weird from there. But I thought like right there, like that 2 seconds, I was like, ooh, that's really uncomfortable. And if the movie goes kind of weird in that way, that could be good. But then the movie happened, and I was like, just kidding. That was a 2 second, like they managed to do something kind of interesting. So yeah. Now the easy question, what was, the worst scene or your least favorite scene? And you can't just say the whole movie.
Oh damn it! I was gonna say the whole movie.
Honestly, I think it's easy. It's a climax because like the expectations were, it wasn't too high, but it was just like high, just that like high enough. I just wanted something, anything, and like there was nothing. So it's probably that, and like the fact that they thought they can get away with an ending where Libby calls the cops, and it's like, oh, the bad guy got away with it. Like, no, the bad guy, didn't get away with it because there's gonna be cops on the way. I don't know. It was really weird. Like I'm assuming the pods at the end, he was back in the spaceship. Now that you mentioned like it could have been a spaceship, so that's what I'm thinking. But still, there was like plaster. Wait, what's going on?
Yeah, they were like breaking the wall at some point.
Yeah,
I'm not confident.
I don't get. Yeah, the ending was the worst part. Yeah, like nothing but like really, the huge plot holes and questions, like the wrong questions.
Since I can't say that the ending was the worst part, which was what I was originally going to say, the worst part for me is that there is a scene where the editing was so bad it was obvious. So the scene I'm talking about is, when that worm thingy, they found that worm thingy, and she
the
got
little
bit,
centipede thing.
the centipede thing, and then he blew on her hand to make her feel better.
It's poisonous, but let me blow on your hand.
See, their conversation was happening, but the very next shot, while their conversation happening, they were 10 feet apart. So how do you go from just holding this to the next? What I understand if there was a pause in the conversation, and then maybe some sound effects that he maybe walked back to the water, but it's like they were like this, and then the next shot they were 10 feet apart. Like, geez, you made me make my
yes.
It's all real weird. I think the least favorite scene was actually the first scene of him when he gives Libby a fertility bracelet. I'm sorry, you're meeting the daughter of your girlfriend who's 16 years old, and you're like, here, honey, have a fertility bracelet. Get all preggers at 16. That was just so stupid to me. And I get it because there's a whole fertility theme in this entire movie, which is just stupid, and I think it's ridiculous. But that scene in particular, I'm like, why is no character questioning how absolutely stupid this is? Yeah. So with all that out of the way, we get to score this movie. So give it a score, and if you recommend it to anybody, who do you recommend it to and why?
Like this is a movie that like I'm gonna forget it by next week, and like when I see the actress that plays Libby that played Libby in a few years, I'm probably gonna see her in something, and I'm gonna be like, wait, where's she from? I'm gonna grab IMDb, and then like, wait, I've seen that movie, and then like, oh no, it was that movie. So it's definitely a 0 for me. I don't know, whatever score it is. It's yeah, there's nothing about it that was good.
I'm gonna give it a -1. And who should watch this movie? I don't think anybody should watch this movie. This movie should be locked up in a vault, buried with all those weird lamprey things.
Fair. I'm gonna give this movie a generous, very generous 0.5. And the only reason is because I feel like somewhere in this pile of crap, there was at some point an interesting idea. And then it just never happened, truly. Like I would have been in like, I want to see a lamprey monster. Like I'm on board for like a parasitic monster. That like the concept's interesting. It just doesn't happen. So concept was like, okay, yeah, there's a thing, and then it just doesn't happen. In terms of who I recommend it to, honestly, if you're still stuck in quarantine and you run out of shit, you can watch this movie. And that's the only reason that I honestly truly watched it, because I'm in quarantine still, lockdown. So, if you run out of other things to watch and you're like, I just want to watch something and just like marvel at the stupidity of it, like this is the movie for you. If you're that type of movie viewer. And that's it. So thank you all so much for joining me, and thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked it or if you hated it, give us a like anyways. Please comment, subscribe. If you've seen this movie, I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't seen it, don't see it, good for you. And once again, I'm Michelle. I'm joined by Lou and Alex.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.